Okay, hi, welcome to Tribe Huddle, the 31st of July 2019, end of month. Really exciting time of the month, and I just want to say a big well done for an amazing month. We blew it out of the water. It was way better than the last 2 months. You guys are awesome. But I'm getting my notes. No panic. So I'm just going to, I might just mute you all just so that, yeah. Okay, that's better, just so that you guys can all hear me. So if you want to say anything, if you want to ask any questions, you can use the chat or you can jump off mute, it's fine. So I just wanted to talk a little bit tonight, and I know I did a bit of a post on it yesterday, and it's amazing how many people messaged me and said, oh, you okay? Funny. But I just really feel like there's a lot of us have been really going through a difficult, challenging time emotionally lately. So I really just wanted to kind of touch on what we were talking about last night, but fine tune it. So help you guys with those emotions, those things that come up that really kind of challenge you, that keep you down. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those feelings and when they come up for you. So, and how you can manage them in the moment, what they really look like. So it's up to you if you want to take notes or if you don't want to, it's fine. So when we feel overwhelmed, and this is something that's actually come up today, not for myself, but just in the team, someone feeling overwhelmed or really low, like really down. How many of you have felt overwhelmed or depressed? I have, yeah, I have. I'm just going to put you guys on gallery so I can see you all. Okay, that's better. Now I can see you all. So it's totally normal, and you think about it, in this business when you first start, it's really normal to feel overwhelmed, right? And I know that's what happened with my new teamie today. She sent me, I feel so overwhelmed. It's totally normal. And so what happens is when you feel overwhelmed, you feel like you're out of control. So you don't feel like you have control of the situation. And so it's our mind playing tricks on us. It's our mind telling us that, shit, I'm out of control. I've got to get control again. And so what you do is you kind of panic in that moment and you think, shit, what can I do to get control? And then suddenly everything seems so big. And so the most important thing to do when you feel overwhelmed is to actually break things up into small pieces that are manageable. So, hey, Sarah. So, say you've got lots of tasks that you have to do, one step at a time. So do whatever's going to work for you that's going to make your overwhelm feel smaller. So what I suggested today to my new team member to do is just to do the most important thing. So pick 2 things that's the most important to do today, and then put the other 2 things on for tomorrow and fit those in and schedule those out. So something that I find really helpful, I've just started this week, and I tell you what, my life is so much less overwhelming. So what I do is I use my diary and I actually schedule in times that I'm going to do things. So I schedule in my DMO time, so I have an hour for my DMO. I have an hour for my other bits that I do, like my following up on my reach outs, like doing franchisee of the month, that kind of thing. And then I have an hour of self-development. So from 9 till 12, I also have, in my second patch, I also have 3-way calls, any customer calls that I have, that kind of thing. So from 9 till 12 is JP time. That's it. Nothing else comes into that time. And then after that, I have lunch, and then I have, sometimes I do things like for myself in the afternoon. So I make sure I slot out time just for me, and then I slot out time for house domestic stuff, right? And that has worked so much better. I get to the end of the night and I don't feel like I'm overwhelmed. I feel like I'm in control. So do something that helps you to feel in control. When we think about fear, so how many of us have had fear? I mean, I would like to see every single hand up because I know that we've all had fear in this business, right? Yeah, totally. So when we have fear, it's because we're afraid that we're not prepared for something. We're not prepared enough. A little bit like, I'm just going to use you as an example, Emma. You know, when I asked you to do your business story and then you said, oh, I can't do it because I don't feel I'm prepared. I bet you felt a bit scared. Yeah. So that's what that is. It's because Emma didn't feel like she was prepared enough to be able to speak. So that's really important when we feel fear. So say, for example, okay, so say, for example, we're going to do a live for the first time ever. I know I bring this up all the time. It's just my thing, sorry, because I love lives. But say we're going to do that for the first time and we are absolutely terrified. We're going, you know I really want to do this, but I'm absolutely shit scared. So what do? You prepare. You think about, okay, what am I going to talk about? So you know what you're going to talk about. When am I going to do it? So you give yourself a schedule. Okay, I'm going to do it at 7 o'clock on Monday night, and I'm going to talk about the shakes. I'm going to talk about that. So then you feel prepared, and so you've had a practice. You know how to do a live. You know how to get on, and so you're prepared. So when you have fear, yes, you've got to get in action and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway, right? But to help you feel more comfortable in that fear is make sure that you're prepared before you go into it. So the other thing to do is when we're in that fear moment is to tell your brain, because that's what it's about. It's all your brain keeping you safe, keeping you small. Tell your brain it's okay. I don't need to keep getting this message. I am prepared. So tell your brain that I am prepared. I don't need this message anymore. So it's kind of like an affirmation to your brain, telling yourself that you're okay, you're prepared, you're safe, you're capable. So when we have anger, I don't get this very much. In fact, I haven't had it for a long time, thank goodness, but I know some of us still get anger. So when we have anger, so something about anger is that anger is actually a surface emotion. So often when we are angry, there is always something deeper underneath. There is often hurt, there is often loss, there is often some kind of fear there. So anger is always that kind of surface emotion there. What that means, so when we get anger, we feel like that we've violated one of our rules. Either we have violated one of our rules or someone else has violated one of our rules. So the best way that you can manage this is to stop yourself. So this is something that I learned a long time ago, and this is, when you feel angry, you've got to stop yourself and you've got to say, hang on a moment, what actually is really going on there? What rule have I violated and what am I really feeling? Because often there will be something else underneath that you haven't even thought about. So, I can't even think of an example that I can give you here because I haven't been angry for such a long time. Has anyone got an example around anger? Have you been angry lately? Yeah, Kieran, do you want to share?
That was just what we worked on last week with my mum. That overall anger. Just want to let you know tonight. Booyah! All sorted. Went out for a coffee with mum, and actually had a really good conversation. Had a conversation about JP and her concerns about everything and what I should expect. I caught myself getting a little bit angry. But in the end, reprogram myself with what we did last week. Just wanted to say, no anger, got a hug from mum. In the end, I took it way back to when I was 6 or 7, and I said, the reason we are here today for this is because when I told you when I was 6 or 7 that I'm angry and I need to go to my room to calm down, and you followed me in, you completely violated anything to do with me. She apologized and said, I'm sorry.
Wow, that is massive. So for you, look at Sarah tearing, that's so funny. So for you,
Yes.
so when you got angry with your mum, she was violating that rule, right?
Yes.
So what rule was she violating?
I told her that she was invalidating and disrespecting who I was as a person. And she didn't quite see it that way. And I said, could you please stop doing that, because that's how I feel. So in the end, we listened. But like I said, ultimately it goes back to when I was 6 or 7. So I've cleared that. Thank you, Mercury retrograde and everything else that we're doing. And thank you, team.
That's fantastic. That's so exciting. Wow, well done. Thank you for sharing that, Kieran. That's great. So there's a really good, clear example around anger and how it violates a rule and how you can get past that. So that's brilliant. Just, anger, again, it's that surface thing. So it's going below and going, okay, what are my real feelings here? So that's brilliant. Love it. Thanks, Kieran. So now we can talk about hurt. So we get hurt. Now, we get hurt because an expectation hasn't been met, right? And this is the same with disappointment. It's exactly the same. And this is what I had come up with against yesterday was, when we have disappointment or we feel hurt about something, it's because we expect someone to behave in a certain way, or we expect life or things to happen in a certain way. And when they don't, we feel hurt about that or we feel disappointed. And so the best way to do that is you have to change either your perception or your communication. So what I did yesterday was I changed my perception. So I thought, hang on a moment, this is actually not about the other person. This is about me going, okay, so I've got too many expectations sitting here on that person, and I need to just stop that and look at what, and let that one go, because at the end of the day, that is there. They need to do what they do, and I need to do what I do. So I changed my whole perception. The other thing is you can do what Kieran did. So for example, if that was hurt underneath that anger, Kieran, communicating that with your mum, which is what you did. So honest, direct communication is the best way to go for that one, or changing your perception around it. So brilliant. So when we think about frustration, so frustration is basic. What you're doing is not working. So whatever I am doing is not working. And so what do? We get frustrated. So just remember, every time we feel frustrated, it's a really good opportunity for us to go within and go, hang on a moment, what's not working? Oh, Pauline, I just see she's just sent us a message. So hang on a moment, what's actually not working? What do I need to change to make it work? So, and how many times do we get this in our business? Yeah. I get this a lot, yeah. And so it's learning to change that frustration to make it positive. So what do we need to change to make it work? Because as soon as something's working, we don't sit in frustration any longer. Okay, so now guilt. Guilt is a big one. Guilt is massive. So guilt is that you are indulging in that because you have just violated one of your standards. So standards is different to expectations. So standards comes down to our values. So what do we value? It's a very moral one, this one. So I could give you an example, but it's not in the business. So does anybody have an example around the business of guilt? Actually, yes, I have. I do have one. So I'll tell you a little story. When I first started in this business, one of my best friends, Annie, was my upline. And we were really, really close, and we were kind of working together as a team, and we were about the same level. So I started about a month after her. So I was her first team member. And we were pretty much on the same level. I rocketed to SDVF in 22 days. It took her a little bit longer, but she got there and was sitting there the same for a while. And then I got to SC, and she wasn't at SC. She was still sitting at SDVF. And she started going really funny. I felt like there was a bit of jealousy there, and I just found it really difficult. And I felt guilty. I felt guilty because I was more successful than her, because I was working harder than her, because I don't know what I was doing differently, but I was just doing things differently, and I was getting this success and she wasn't, and I felt really guilty about that. So when I looked at that, what I realized is one of my standards is, where I was at the time, is that I would always support my friends, my loved ones. So anyone that I worked with, I would always support them, and we would go up together. We would go side by side, supporting each other, that I would never stand on anyone's toes. That's what I don't like doing, is standing on people's toes. So I thought that I was really trudging on her. But when you think about it, what that was, that actually wasn't the case at all. And so that was really very much around me telling myself, actually, no, I haven't violated any of my standards. What I have done was 100% okay for me. So that's really what you've got to do. And make sure that you never do that again. So sometimes you need to change your perception in it, because sometimes that guilt, actually there isn't anything. And that guilt, you don't need to feel guilty about something because you haven't violated any of your standards, or maybe your standards need to change. Because sometimes our standards are too high or too irrational. So think about it, if your standards are okay. The other thing is, like this, get clear on this rule and be certain that you won't do it again, or change that rule to make it so that it's not quite so high, so that you can actually, so you actually feel like you don't have to violate something which isn't rational. Okay, so and that's the other thing, is just re-look at that rule and see if it's, because the thing is, if you're always going to have the same high standard, the same feeling, guilt is going to keep coming up again. There's going to be opportunities all the time for you to violate that standard all the time. So if it's a constant thing, look at, okay, what is this rule here? What have I got that's too high and not working, to change that? So when we look at loneliness, don't know if you guys get this much, but so loneliness is a message to connect with people. We feel alone. We feel like we're on our own. We feel like we need support. And so when we feel lonely, yes, it's often about us and not being able to fill up our cup. But what is the best way to fill your cup up is to connect with people who love you. Connect with people who support you. You don't have to, and one of the things that is really important around, when we have these emotional messages come up, is that we don't just go and see a friend and just blur all over them about how crap you feel. The best way to do it would be just to hang out in their company and really look at how it is that talking in positive tense, so that you can actually find a way. Because I know as women, I know Pete's on here, but I know as women, how we find solutions to our problems is we talk about things, right? So that we're talking about things in a way that is actually positive, that we're finding a solution for. So making sure that we initiate that love and that action. And another one is inadequacy. So if we don't feel like we are adequate enough, if we don't feel like we're capable of doing something, This is often because our standards are way too high. Way too high. Here's me right over here in the corner. I'm a big one on this. I've always been a high standard, high overachiever, perfectionist. Yeah. So, and tell you about it when you go to do something and you always feel like you're inadequate, it's because your standards are way too high. So really either get skilled in the area that you're feeling inadequate in, or really relook at your standards. I love hearing your dog just staring at the screen. He's so cute. So that's pretty much that, all I wanted to really talk about tonight, because I just felt like there was quite a bit of stuff that came up over, the last week for a lot of us. So if anybody wants to share, if there's anything that's come up for them, I'm happy to help you with it, or if you've got any questions or anything. I'm just reading what you're putting her in as a franchisee. Yeah, she should be. I love it, it's gorgeous. So what did you say? We are in our own driving lanes. Fabulous, is perfect timing. Yeah, absolutely. We're not responsible for others' businesses. That's true, Kieran. Absolutely true. So I'm just going to unmute you all. If you want to share anything, does anyone have any questions around any of that? I've muted you, Pete, but you can unmute if you want to ask anything, babe. Yeah, no, everyone's okay on that. Cool.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So how's end of month gone for everybody?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? You guys are awesome. We got into 30 customers again this month.
Wow.
70 next month.
You betcha.
No pressure. No pressure at all.
Overachieving high standards.
Yeah, well, you know me, but also it's because I want bloody QNMD, don't I? So the only way I'm going to do it is to really increase the volume in the business. So, high standards, yeah, when there needs to be high standards.
It gives you a stretching point.
Yeah.
It gives you something to strive for.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that process of me having a goal for myself, for my own business and what promotion I want, it means that I'm supporting you guys to get your promotions as well. So, every time you get a promotion, it helps me as well. It helps your upline. So, we're supporting each other in this.
Gentle, come on, let's be gentle.
Okay, guys, well, I will let you go because it's been half an hour and I won't keep you sitting on here any longer. So really lovely to catch up with you all.
Happy birthday for tomorrow, Tanya.
Thank you, Sarah.
Oh shit, is it your birthday? Oh, of course it is. We're going to your party.
That's why I didn't say yes to tomorrow for the 3-way call, Maxine.
Oh, right. Why is that? Oh, because it's your birthday.
Mum's taking me out for lunch, so yeah.
Nice.
I kind of want to do less tomorrow. I'll still be doing what I do in the business, but I want to have the afternoon off.
Go you.
Thank you. All right, you guys have a lovely evening and we'll catch you next week. How'd you get on, Moni, with your friend? Did she manage to see it all?
Yep, she did.
Great. Awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Au revoir, ladies.
Bye.
Bye. Bonne nuit.
How do I get out of here?